1 week before I started recording this particular video, my stepdad had a massive stroke and he was taken to hospital. The first couple of days he was talking occasionally, albeit I'm not sure he knew then where he was, and when he was talking he was very distressed. Then by day 3 everything changed. He stopped talking and he deteriorated pretty quickly. He underwent another CT scan which showed that the bleed to his brain had continued and had got worse, covering a much larger area. By that point, we had received the devastating news that he had most likely lost all of his sight. He had already lost half of his sight in a stroke that he'd had a couple of years prior. In the scan, we were told that during an MRI a couple of years prior, it had picked up that he had loads of like microbleeds throughout his brain. They described his brain as being a little bit like Swiss cheese, lots of little bleedy holes in it that could at any point rupture. And actually, the more we heard, the more we learned over the past week, we have realised just how much of a miracle it has been that my stepdad has been home with us these past couple of years and able to make more memories with us, spend more time with our kids, with us, albeit that he has suffered disability as a result of his earlier strokes. So at the time of this video being recorded, we're 1 week post the most recent stroke. He is in hospital. He had been moved to a side room on day 4 and they had started, I say they, like the doctors and nurses, had started to lean towards less medical intervention and more keeping him comfortable. We had been told not to expect him to come home with us, which is so unbelievably like hard to hear when it comes to a parent. And my mum had been staying there like a couple of nights before. She had stayed on a camp bed in the hospital overnight. The night prior to that, I had stayed, not because at that point we thought anything would happen that particular night, but just that I wanted to be there with him. And then as his condition deteriorated, we knew like all the more that we needed to be there overnight just in case. So therefore my mum had been.
Go. We've got to go.
Oh no.
I've missed the text. I've missed the text.
So when I started this video, you'll see outfit changed and you'll have heard what happened there. When I started the video, I had intended on doing a power hour. So I was going to blitz the house in an hour because the next day my sister's husband and 2 children were coming to stay. They had planned in advance, like months and months in advance, they were coming to spend the week with my mum. This was going to be their like summer holiday, and they had decided because my sister's nephews, my sister's kids are older than my kids, who are 7, 5 and 2, they were old enough to kind of be at home like around what was happening. So they were always going to be coming to stay. I wanted to get the place like tidied up because we've been in hospital like for the bulk of each day. So I wanted to blitz the place, but as I was hoovering the stairs, my sister checked her phone, had a message from my mum asking us to return to hospital, and that was my real life reaction, because that we knew at that point that this was going to be time to say goodbye. Actually, when we got in the car and I read the message myself from my mum, I said to my sister, I think he's already gone, because it was just the way that my mum put like, don't rush, take your time kind of thing. That there was very little in the message. It was just like, I'm sorry, loves, please come back to the hospital, but don't rush, take your time. But I thought, I think we've missed this. And we had. Not by much, but we had. So we probably hadn't long got back home. It's only about half an hour from my folks' house to get to the hospital. And we'd got back, I'd watered the plants, my sister had finished mowing the lawn that she'd started earlier in the day, we'd done a couple of jobs, and I'd started on the house, as you'd seen, when at that time my stepdad had passed away and lost his battle this time, and my mum was there with him, and in the end his actual passing was swift, and so for that we are grateful. But it had been an absolutely grueling week watching him. The hospital staff had been amazing. They had done absolutely everything that they possibly could to make to make him as comfortable as he could be. But there is a difference between being comfortable and being made to be as comfortable as you can. And I will leave it there because I think it's not fair on my mum, and I don't think anyone needs to hear all the details of that kind of week leading up to that point. But it was grueling for him. It was distressing for all of us. But the next day, as this is the next day, so this is so Sunday evening he passed, and then this is Monday morning. I basically stayed in my pajamas for half of the day. I think I eventually got myself washed and out of them when my sister had made lunch. But I decided I would continue with my power hour. At least I had the sense not to set a timer, because it did not end up being an hour, and I had to stop for various reasons and various things. But I was determined to get the house a little bit more shipshape before my brother-in-law and nephews arrived. They had a long drive. They live in Manchester. My folks are in Norfolk. So they had a long drive ahead, and I had some time, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to keep myself busy. You will see very little of my mum in this video, because obviously she doesn't want to be in a video the day after such devastating news, but also she knows me, and she knows that I cope by keeping myself busy. And she is incredibly supportive of my YouTube channel and loves the fact that people like to watch me cleaning and decluttering. I don't think anyone in my family can quite get their head around it, or neither can I, but she loves that. So you won't see much of my mum. I only left a tiny bit of footage in where like her head was cut off, because obviously it's an emotional day, where basically we mostly like cried the day away in between doing jobs and bits and bobs. But I managed to do an awful lot in the time that I actually had this day, and just kept myself like super busy. But I have no idea whether it was the impact of the grief, the shock of what had happened, the week that had led up to it, where we hadn't been sleeping much, and the stress of it all, or that I had picked up a bit of a virus in hospital, or a mixture of all of those reasons. But once I had finished this particular cleaning marathon, the final jobs I wanted to do were to clean the floor. So I'd hoovered the floors, but I wanted to like steam clean them and clean the wooden floors. And I did not get that done because I got hit by a wave of exhaustion and felt like physically ill. I had such bad tummy pain and headache, and I basically lay on the sofa for like the late afternoon, evening, and I could not eat. So after lunch, I didn't manage to eat anything else, and the next day I still felt rough, but not as rough. So in this particular video, you will see me doing what I could do that day, and how we managed, but around everything else, and just supporting each other, of course, stopping to talk and cry and hug and be with each other. So I don't think I'm like a cold woman who just got straight to cleaning the day after my stepdad passed away, but I wanted to keep myself busy, and I wanted the house looking calm and as peaceful as possible when my nephews arrived, because for children, no matter how old they are, as one of my nephews is a teenager and the other is 9, but they, it's really hard for kids to lose a grandparent. Is a really big thing. It's a really big thing for children who are older, and it's a massive thing for spouses to lose their partners, of course. But we just wanted to make everything as kind of calm as possible as we could. And I wanted to take a moment just to say a massive thank you for all of the lovely messages that I have received over this time. It has been so lovely to read them, and I think I have responded to the bulk of them, and I'm going to respond to the rest of them after I finish this particular voiceover. So thank you so very much, and I'm sorry that this is not the outcome that we all wanted. And in the first couple of days, we thought that my stepdad would be coming home, because the kind of trajectory of his I'm not saying recovery because it wasn't recovery at that point. He was still very much in the thick of things. But what we were experiencing in terms of his symptoms were very much what we had experienced with the last big stroke that he had. So we were absolutely devastated to find out that he'd lost his sight, or that was a strong suspicion from the doctor, was that he'd lost all of his sight. And we were wondering how on earth, he would cope with that. But we expected him to be leaving hospital. So when things took a turn on that third day and then continued with him deteriorating after that, it was just such a shock. But I continued to think, that maybe he would rally, defy odds, that, he would start to show some signs of improvement, and then, the medical staff would start to, I thought that there would come a point where they'd say to us, we can't believe we're saying this, but we think we need to start actively intervening in medical care rather than just comfort and pain relief, which is, what they were very much focused on. So to be in this position now is still a massive shock for us, and we're very much reeling from it, but trying to keep busy. It's the school summer holidays, which I think in a lot of ways helps because, I have kids, my sister has kids, my brother has a daughter. So we're all busy juggling summer holiday stuff. And my eldest, today, we went out today, we had a pre-arranged day, we booked tickets to go to an Imperial War Museum. So we went there. Kids enjoyed it, but everyone is definitely, there's a mood amongst us, and we can tell that the grief is there, but then there's still those, with the kids especially, there's still the fun bits in between. And my eldest said at the end of the day, we always ask at the end of the day what their best bit was of the day, and he said it had been a happy and sad day, where he'd felt both happy at times and very, very sad, because he can't stop thinking about losing Grandad. And I think that's such a way with children, that you have those happy times amongst the sad times too. And I'm sure that my stepdad would have wanted us to have all the happy times, and would have understood, of course, the sad times, but would have wanted us to have those happy times as well. So we concentrate on the kids right now, having those days out amongst dealing with the grief. And the palliative care nurses at the hospital were amazing, and one of them brought us some boxes of which were for our children, for the younger members of the family, to help them make sense of what happened. And these boxes were designed by children who had experienced grief, and they were so good. These big boxes full of things, a teddy bear each, a chocolate bar. Then there were these, a journal, a grief journal, a stress ball with pens. You could write your feelings on them. This booklet, which you filled in with your memories of the loved one that you had lost. These little fidget toys, and just so much stuff in there that they have been working their way through. One of my kiddos has been taking the whole box to bed at night. They've been cuddling up to their teddies, carrying them around, working through their grief journals. It's been super, super helpful. So I don't know, if you experience loss with youngsters, having that within the hospital was amazing. I don't know if they do these all of hospitals. I am informed by a family member who is a nurse in a different hospital. They have nothing like this. So I think it is very much different depending on where you are. But I think that making something like this up yourself for youngsters experiencing loss is really, really great. They also, the palliative care team, gave us a book, which was called, it's based on Wind of the Willows, and the book was called it was like Badger's Journey Down the Long Tunnel. I think that was it. I'm sure if you Google it, you'll find it. And that was a really lovely book to like read to the children and talk to them about the loss that we've experienced. And that book really helped. It's a bit of a gut-wrenching book to read as an adult experiencing loss at the same time, but actually the book itself advised that you read it first as the grown-up before you read it to the children, because it is an emotional book. And I thought that was a really lovely thing as well to have with them. So we've been doing lots with the kids the last couple of days. I didn't tell my children what had happened until I got home, because I wanted to be there to help them work through their feelings, and they are just so very young. So it was the Monday when I'm doing this particular clean, and then I went home on the Wednesday morning. My sister stayed with my mum, she's still there at the moment when I'm recording this voiceover, and then I'm heading back on Monday next week, so to do kind of get through some of the arrangements, funeral stuff with her. So during this particular clean, I actually did stop my cleaning. I don't know what I'm doing in this part of the video. I feel like I'm jigging around from like leg to leg. I wasn't listening to music or anything. I don't know what it was. I don't know. I've gone a bit mad, I think, in this point. So getting back to the clean, actually, how do you clean your toilets? I'm always really interested because people have such particular individual ways of doing it. I use toilet paper to clean the toilets, and I always start when I'm cleaning the bathroom. Toilet is first, and then I spray like the bathroom spray onto the toilet paper, clean with the toilet paper. And I use a spray that doesn't have bleach in it, so I use the Flash bathroom spray that doesn't have bleach in. Clean the toilet with the toilet paper, because then you can just flush the toilet paper. And I figure, like, it actually is like, usually recycled paper and biodegradable properly. So I figure it's more environmentally friendly, but also like cleaner, because you're not washing any cloths. So that's what I do. And then once I've flushed the toilet paper, I put bleach in the toilet, and then I let that sit while I clean the rest of the bathroom, so that one of the last things I do is then flush the bleach down. So anyway, what do you do? Is my way weird? I don't know. I saw somebody else like years ago cleaning a toilet that way on like a YouTube video, and thought it was a genius idea, because then you could, like, it really appealed to me that I could just flush the toilet paper with the cleaning stuff and all the grubbiness down the loo. So I don't know, it works for me. And also, I don't know if this brings some lightheartedness to this particularly somber video, but amongst all of this, terribly trying time that we've been through, I checked my emails one day, and I had received an email from somebody who had asked me if they could purchase from me my used rubber gloves. I kid you not. And honestly, I read this email, and I could not quite believe it. I'm sure the person sending it probably hadn't watched any of my recent videos to know quite what I'm going through at the moment. I don't know. It's very weird. It's a very strange thing to ask anyone. Should you be that person who made that request, please never send me an email like that ever again, or anyone else. It's just weird. Also, I don't use rubber gloves. I don't know if you've noticed that. I don't use rubber gloves to clean, and I know that people really don't like that, but I get eczema on my hands, and rubber gloves make it worse, so I don't wear them. So I'm better off with the odd, chemical touching me. The only time that I ever do wear them is if I'm bleaching something, because the smell of bleach just doesn't go from your hands for ages. So the only real use that rubber gloves get in my house is my husband, and I dare say no one would want to buy rubber gloves that his sweaty hands have been in. But I will not be selling any rubber gloves to anyone, because it is just a bit creepy, quite frankly. But I did show my mum the email in the midst of everything happening, whilst we were doing all the hospital visits and going through everything. And I don't think quite made her chuckle, I won't say, but it did change the mood for a few moments anyway. So it gave us some relief of sorts in the midst of everything going on. I will not be replying to the email. If anyone sends me anything like that, I don't reply to it. So don't even think about it. If you're a creepy person watching this, no rubber gloves or anything else will be sold by me. It's just wrong. So moving on, I cleaned 3 bathrooms. Or does it count? I don't think my mum's bathroom really counts because it doesn't have a shower. It's just the sink and loo in her bathroom, in her bedroom here. But I managed 2.5 bathrooms during this clean, hoovering, cleaning and tidying up the kitchen. So really I got a lot done, and I think it took me just over a couple of hours, and then in between all of that, I helped Mum out by making the initial calls to the hospital's bereavement team and doing a little bit of research about kind of next steps for us in this particular journey. And now we are, awaiting all of the paperwork and official certificates and all of that stuff before we can move forward with other plans. I will be sort of putting kind of any plans that I had in terms of YouTube series, videos on hold for now. I'm still going to be making videos. I had sort of dropped from, I generally set myself the target of at least 3 videos a week. And then if I do have like a series ongoing, sometimes it's more than that. But I've tried very hard not to do fewer than 3. But during the school holidays, that often does and has been like dropping down to 2 because it's just been really hard with the kids around. And then of course then with my stepdad having a stroke and passing away now, I will be keeping it at 2 a week of just stuff that I'm up to. Like how at this point in the video, I changed into my running stuff because I was like, do you know what will help me? Going for a run. I didn't go for a run, of course, because I started to feel absolutely awful, and I've not run since. So I've decided that was a really, my body telling me to slow down, calm down for a bit and take it a little bit easier. But I might go for a run this weekend if I'm feeling up to it, because I do find that if I stop, I say run, and my running is run walking. I run for anywhere between 20 to 30 seconds, and then I walk for 30 seconds. And I do that like going in between running and walking. And that works really well for me. So that's what I call running. But if I'm not going out and doing some exercise, at least a couple of times a week, then I really start to feel my mental health, decline. So it is important to me, and I will try and get out and do a bit of exercise this weekend. But I basically went from my pajamas into my running kit, and then did not actually do anything in my running kit. You can see the boxes actually here that I was talking about earlier from the palliative care team. They're the white boxes with the ribbons on that you can see in the video. And then we made up a little gift bag with things in for my 2-year-old because, she's so young. She understands more than I think I had realised, because she is talking about Granddad and wanting to see Granddad, but she doesn't understand death and what that means. And we've got some books, actually age appropriate books around death, because we have suffered loss in our family in the past, years with the boys when they were kind of a similar age. So we have those, and we will be going through those with her. But we made her up a different little gift bag because, writing journals and that sort of thing for a 2-year-old isn't appropriate. And we didn't want to be wasting those boxes, not wasting them on her, but you know what I mean. We made up, using the boxes as a guide, we made up our own. My sister got a lovely little teddy bear and some little hair things, and a colouring book and that sort of thing for my 2-year-old, which is lovely. So she's got her own little kind of grief bag where the boys have got boxes. So highly recommend anything like that if you're in that sort of situation with young people in the family in the future. That we found it super, super helpful. So on the home stretch now for this particular video, I don't know why I decided that I needed to be hoovering crumbs and But it's funny, isn't it, when you look back and think, why do I think these things are important at the time? But it felt like it on this particular day. I felt like I just had to keep going. And, you know, keep going I did until I literally crashed. And till my body was like, oh my God, please stop. But my brother-in-law was driving in at this like kind of very point, and my nephews were getting out of the car, so it was time to stop. But I will just leave you with this image of the main man that we lost, my lovely stepdad, Malcolm. And I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.